Imagine this. It's the morning of August 31st, 1997. Headlines don't announce tragedy, but a miraculous survival. Princess Diana has lived through the Paris car crash. In reality, the monarchy faced backlash for protocol missteps like the Queen's delayed return from Balmoral and the flag at full mast. But what if those errors never occurred? The crash happens just as it did. Flashing cameras, the screech of tyres, chaos in the Alma tunnel. But this time, Princess Di pulls through. The immediate aftermath is devastating. Paramedics arrive to a mangled car and a critically injured Diana, barely conscious with internal injuries and fractures. She's rushed to a major Paris trauma center where surgeons work frantically to save her life. For hours, her survival hangs by a thread. News outlets globally erupt with partial updates, reporters scrambling for accurate information. Instead of confirming her death, broadcasts pivot to cautious optimism. Princess Diana, critically injured, but alive. The tone shifts. The tragedy is palpable, but now carries a fragile thread of hope. Outside the hospital, Parisians begin gathering, clutching candles and photos, forming candlelit vigils that echo what later unfolded in London after Diana's actual death. The crowd swells steadily, united by relief that she is alive, though uncertainty still gnaws at them. The atmosphere is raw, filled with urgent prayers for her recovery. Public emotions, heightened by the crash, begin to stir conversations about media responsibility and the relentless pursuit of celebrities by paparazzi. The world braces for updates during that first harrowing weekend. Doctors issue carefully worded statements as rumors circulate wildly. Some tabloids speculate she may never fully recover, while others sensationalize her condition without basis. People are glued to their televisions, radios, and newspapers, hanging on every update. The moment feels monumental, history in the making. Within hours, global figures begin sending messages of sympathy. Tony Blair calls her the People's Princess, a title that resonates deeply, while other leaders echo their support, underscoring Diana's global significance. Behind the hospital doors, attention shifts inward to the royal family. When Diana passed away in real history, the monarchy faced backlash for its slow response, including the Queen's reluctance to return from Balmoral and the flag protocol controversy. In this alternate reality, the palace likely acts swiftly, releasing a heartfelt statement expressing relief and calling for privacy during Diana's recovery. Yet behind closed doors, complications emerge. Diana's survival reignites her central role, a voice that once distributed the monarchy's stoic traditions and commanded public devotion. Charles, under greater scrutiny than ever, faces difficult choices. Does he visit Diana publicly, risking renewed controversy over their strained co-parenting? Or does he stay distant, avoiding further public judgment? These decisions carry weight, potentially shaping the monarchy's future. Diana's survival also sparks broader political and cultural ripples. Her humanitarian work in places like Angola and Bosnia already made her a global figure. Now, her near tragedy becomes a rallying point for discussions on media reform. Influential outlets publish pieces dissecting paparazzi culture and advocating for stricter privacy laws. The crash itself becomes a symbol of the dangerous excess of tabloid journalism. Then, something remarkable happens. Days after surgery, Diana regains consciousness. Painfully aware of her situation, she reportedly asks about her sons, William and Harry. Her first public appearance, weeks later, wrapped in recovery gear, is a defining moment. Cameras capture her resilience, transforming her into an even greater symbol of hope and survival. The cheers that greet her echo worldwide, marking the beginning of a new chapter for Diana and the monarchy. Diana's survival would have brought existing tensions within the royal family to a breaking point. Before her tragic death, her relationship with Prince Charles had already reached a public low. Their divorce in 1996 underscored the collapse of their once fairy tale marriage, with Diana candidly speaking about the turmoil in high-profile interviews. Her continued presence would have created significant challenges for Charles, particularly regarding his relationship with Camilla. Public scrutiny, already intense, would have been magnified by Diana's enduring popularity and the ability to connect directly with the masses. According to The Independent, Diana's mere existence could have been seen as trolling her ex-husband, complicating any efforts to integrate Camilla into royal life. The public's support for Diana, especially after her candid remarks in the Martin Bashir interview where she questioned Charles's suitability for the throne, would have made Camilla's acceptance even more contentious. For the Queen, Diana's survival would have intensified the monarchy's internal struggle between tradition and transformation. Her restrained, duty-focused approach often clashed with Diana's emotional and modern public persona. Diana's voice, impossible to silence, would likely have continued to highlight the institution's flaws, whether it was their distant handling of personal relationships or frigid adherence to tradition. Public empathy for Diana would have heightened these pressures, forcing the monarchy to confront its image in real time. Diana's growing influence, particularly as new Labour insiders like Alistair Campbell began warming to her, would have further complicated the monarchy's position, especially given her strained relationship with figures like Conservative leader William Hague. Diana's undeniable media influence would have amplified her role as a counterpoint to the monarchy's formality. Her global humanitarian efforts and celebrity-like appeal already created waves post-divorce, and her thriving presence would have made it even harder for the royal family to control public narratives. She was unpredictable and magnetic, qualities that endeared her to the public but made her a challenging figure behind palace walls. As Nicholas Soames once described her as unhinged for her advocacy, it's clear Diana's activism would have continued to sharpen family rifts, especially as she openly questioned royal traditions and priorities. The impact on her sons, William and Harry, could not be overstated. Diana's devotion to shielding them from royal pressures was well documented. Her survival could have profoundly shaped their lives, particularly in how they balanced tradition with individuality. For William, Diana's influence might have steered him toward a modernized version of monarchy, encouraging him to embrace a more active public role. For Harry, who struggled deeply with grief in real life, Diana's presence might have provided the emotional anchor he needed to navigate royal life. Her understanding of the spotlight's hardships could have led her to advocate for stronger privacy protections for her sons. Ultimately, Diana's survival would have forced the monarchy to modernize far faster than it intended. Her resilience and global status as a survivor of tragedy would have demanded reconciliation or risked exposing deeper fractures within the family. The monarchy's ability to coexist with Diana, rather than resist her influence, could have determined its future stability. Diana's reputation as a global humanitarian was cemented long before 1997. Her groundbreaking work in AIDS awareness and her campaign against landmines made her a champion for causes that others in her position might have avoided. Take her work in raising AIDS awareness, for example. At a time when stigma surrounded the disease, Diana famously shook hands with patients without gloves, directly challenging misconceptions and using her platform to humanize those who were ostracized. If she had lived, it's likely this work would have expanded further, perhaps pushing for policy changes and tackling healthcare access globally, particularly in the developing world. By the late 2000s, when the global response to AIDS became more coordinated with international organizations like the UN, Diana's passion and influence could have made her a central figure in these movements. Her growing involvement with organizations such as the International Rescue Committee, where she had proposed becoming a patron, suggests she might have played a key role in addressing interconnected humanitarian crises. Her anti-landmine campaign also demonstrated how her actions could shift global conversations. Her visit to Angola in 1997, where she walked through a field of active landmines, is remembered as a turning point that inspired political action. That same year, countries signed the Mine Ban Treaty, a milestone in disarmament policy. If Diana had continued her work, it's plausible that her efforts would have expanded into other conflict zone causes, such as advocating for refugee protections or addressing the use of child soldiers. Her growing ties to the UN and her harrowing trip to Yemen with David Miliband further point to a trajectory of deepening involvement in global humanitarian issues. Her willingness to challenge norms, even at the risk of political controversy, was evident when a Conservative defense minister criticized her as a loose cannon for her outspoken views on landmines. This boldness suggests she might have continued to push for accountability in areas tied to human rights, even when it placed her at odds with political establishments. Diana's position as a royal would have remained uniquely challenging. Royals are expected to remain apolitical, yet she consistently pushed boundaries, advocating for causes with undeniable political weight. Her survival might have aligned with her progressive movements shaping the late 1990s and early 2000s. Diana's existing connections, such as her rapport with Tony Blair, could have positioned her as an unofficial bridge between the monarchy and a more modern Britain. This might have caused tensions with Buckingham Palace and Conservative figures uncomfortable with her advocacy. However, her confidence in stepping beyond traditional roles could have led to partnerships with global institutions, opening the door to ambassadorial work. Her relationship with the media, however, would likely have remained fraught. Public outrage over the media's role in the Paris crash fueled calls, as noted in outlets like The Guardian, to reconsider paparazzi behavior. Had she lived, Diana's experience might have turned her into a vocal advocate for privacy reforms, shaping public discourse on media accountability. Princess Di's survival would have changed the trajectory of the monarchy, forcing it to adapt more quickly to modern expectations. Her ability to connect with people, paired with her fearless work on causes like AIDS awareness, landmine removal, and media privacy, could have made her a champion of progressive causes by the 2010s. This might have drawn both partisan criticism and widespread public support. Her presence could have accelerated the monarchy's modernization, prevented the national outcry over her death, and provided William and Harry with a living advocate. Which legacy resonates most with you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Alt History Zone to become a valued member of the Alt History Zone family. History hinges on the thinnest of threads. Who knows? You could be the link that breaks the chain. Stay tuned!